Hello students, I am Sonia Vaz, Assistant Professor in Economics from Rosary College of Commerce and Arts, Navili. Under Director of Higher Education E-Content Project, Distavo, I am here to present the unit Introduction to National Income Accounting from Macroeconomics of SYBA. I will be covering up two modules, that is macroeconomics, nature of macroeconomics and major issues of macroeconomics. The student will understand from this module, the student will understand the nature of macroeconomics. The student will also be able to distinguish between the concept of micro and macroeconomics and also identify the major macroeconomic issues. Economics is a very broad term which is divided into two fields, that is we have microeconomics and macroeconomics. First of all, we have to distinguish between micro and macroeconomics to know the nature of macroeconomics. While microeconomics deals with individual markets, macroeconomic deals with the whole economy. So, we study the market of the whole economy. With regard to price of a commodity, in microeconomics we study only the price of one commodity, whereas in macroeconomics we study the general price level. With regard to the labor market, we study only the individual labor market in microeconomics, whereas in macroeconomics we study the labor market of the entire economy, the employment levels, the unemployment levels of the entire economy. With regard to supply of goods, we talk about just supply of a commodity in micro, whereas in macroeconomics we talk about the supply of all the goods in the economy. Now, microeconomics is the study of the economic actions of individuals and small groups of individuals. So, we study only individual concepts in microeconomics, whereas in macroeconomics it is the study of aggregates or averages covering up the entire economy. Macroeconomics deals with economic affairs in the large, it concerns the overall dimensions of economic life. Macroeconomics is also known as theory of income and employment or simply income analysis. So, under this we study the fluctuations in income, the fluctuations in employment levels. In the monetary sphere, it studies the effect of total quantity of money on the general price level. So, basically here we study about the money in circulation and how it affects the price level in the economy. The subject matter of macroeconomics is to explain what determines the level of total economic activity. For example, the size of national income and employment and fluctuations in it in the short run. Now, why is national income higher today than it was in 1950? So, since we study about the national income every year, we are comparing the national income of various years. Why does the rate of unemployment in a free market economy go up in a period and fall in another period? Why do some countries have high inflation rates while others maintain price stability? So, these are some of the questions that are asked or covered up in macroeconomics. Now, the major macroeconomic issues that we take up, the first one is employment and unemployment, second is inflation, the third is business cycles, fourth is stagflation, fifth economic growth, and sixth the exchange rate and balance of payments. So, we take up the first one, employment and unemployment. So, when we talk about employment and unemployment, unemployment refers to involuntary idleness of resources including manpower. So, here if any human or material resource is idle, then we say that it is unemployed. So, it is an involuntary idleness. So, one of the objectives of government policy is to ensure full employment, which implies absence of involuntary unemployment of any type. So, when we say full employment, we mean that all resources, human and material resources, do not lie idle, they are fully utilized. Inflation is the second issue covered under macroeconomics. It refers to a situation of constantly rising prices of commodities and factors of production. When people demand for goods and supply cannot adjust to the sudden increase in demand, the prices rise of commodities, and that is what leads to inflation. During inflation, some people gain and some people lose. That is, the sellers who are selling the commodities are the people who make profits, while the buyers or the consumers are the people who lose, because the purchasing power of money goes down. So, there is a change in the pattern of income distribution in favor of the sellers and not in favor of the buyers. Business cycles is the third issue that is covered. It refers to periodic fluctuations in levels of economic or business activity. When we talk about business cycles, there are ups and downs that take place in the economy. We have the economy expanding. The peak level of expansion is the boom period, when economic activity is at its highest. Then the economic activity starts going down, and that is when recession takes place, and the severe form of recession is depression. So, under business cycles, we basically cover up the expansion, boom, recession and depression, and of course, the recovery of the economy which takes place after depression. The fourth issue that we cover up is stagflation. Now, stagflation, in most modern mixed economies, suffer from disease of stagflation, which implies the coexistence of inflation and unemployment in a stagnant economy. So, we call it stagflation because it is a combination of inflation and a combination of a stagnant economy. It is a stagnant economy, there is more of unemployment, but still inflation takes place. The trade-off between inflation and unemployment is perhaps the most complex macroeconomic issue of the day. When we talk about trade-off between inflation and unemployment, it is the inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. If we have high inflation, then we have less unemployment. So, if people want less unemployment to take place, they should be ready to pay high prices, and vice versa. The fifth issue is economic growth. When we talk about economic growth, it is a very broad term which covers up various issues like more employment levels, more income. The trend in the nation's total output over a long period is known as economic growth. It refers to expansion of society's production capacity, such as bringing new land under cultivation or setting up new factories. So, when we talk about growth, it is growth from all sides. We talk about growth of all the sectors, the primary sector, the secondary sector and the tertiary sector. Growth is measured by the annual rate of increase of per capita income. So, since there is growth of all the sectors in the economy, it is bound to increase the level of per capita income. The sixth point is the exchange rate and balance of payment. So, under exchange rate, what do we mean by exchange rate? Exchange rate is the rate at which a country's economy is exchanged for another currency. So, here it is the trade that takes place between two countries, whereas the balance of payment refers to the payment that takes place because of trade. So, the balance of payment is a systematic record of all economic transactions between the members of the home country and the rest of the world in an accounting year. Thank you.